Hello everyone, and welcome to the What's New in MOHO Anime Studio 12 webinar. Our presenter today is Victor Paredes, an award-winning animator and member of our product management team. And we also have Fahim with us, who will be helping answer questions as they come in. We have a lot of exciting information to share with you today on the new features of MOHO and how you can make the most of them. If you're new to animation and want to see what you can do with MOHO, if you're already an Anime Studio user and want to get an inside look at what's new, or if you've been with MOHO from the very beginning, you'll have a chance to learn something new today and see why everyone's so excited about MOHO 12. And now I'll turn it over to Victor.
Hi, thank you for being here today. We are very excited about this new version of the software, and I am excited both as animator and as product manager. So I want to start telling you that all these new features were collected from the comments of the users, and probably some of them are comments from people who is hearing now. So we collected a very long list and then prioritized different features there. So this version is really made for the users and based on people's feedback. So I am excited about that too. Now, here is the new screen of MOHO 12, the new name of Anime Studio. You know, MOHO in the past, Anime Studio in the past was named MOHO, and we are going back to the roots of the software. And I think this is the right time to do that also, because we have a great version here with new features that people were asking for very long. So I am very excited about that. Now, when you see the new MOHO, you automatically will notice that we have a new interface here, okay? And if you compare this, I have Anime Studio 11 open here. You can see MOHO 12 is much cleaner and everything looks nicer, and it is a good upgrade of the interface. Also, we have a simpler preference. If you go to the preference and go to the appearance, you can modify the brightness of the screen of the interface, and also the highlight color. So for instance, if I want darker and maybe a green highlight here, I can just do that, and now my interface will look the way I want. So I will go back to the default because I like the default, but you can personalize that. One of the biggest features coming with MOHO 12 are the new Bezier Handles. And to show you that, I want to go back to Anime Studio 11 and I want to just use the freehand tool. If I create a simple shape with the freehand tool in Anime Studio 11, you can see the amount of points that were created here. So if I want to animate this, I will have to move these points one by one, or maybe using the magnet, but anyway, it is very hard to control all that points. One of the advantages that Bezier Handles give us in MOHO 12 is that if we create a similar shape, you can see we have fewer points, and we can even have less than this. So if I go to the curvature tool, you can see now we have the Bezier Handles, and we can modify the curvature, the angle of the curvature here, and we can break also the curve. And another cool thing about these Bezier Handles is that they are optimized for animation. That means that when I move my character, you can see how the Bezier Handles adapt to keep the shape in the same way. So I want to show you a circle here. In other illustration programs, you will get something similar to this. I want to show you just this example too, so you can understand this. So if I move this circle here, you can see I don't get a circle anymore, okay? This is because the handles are not really moving when I move the circle. But if I undo this and use the Bezier Handle system coming with MOHO 12, the software will automatically try to prevent the distortion of the shape. So you can see I am getting a circular shape even when I am distorting the drawing. So this allows MOHO to animate much better, animate vector points, but also animate points using bones. So it was hard to implement this in previous versions, and finally we had an idea. We could apply that, and Mike Clifton worked on this, and it is working very, very well. So finally we have Bezier Handles, and if you like it the way you draw in Anime Studio 11 and before, you still can use the curvature tool, and you can increase or decrease the curvature in the same way you did in previous versions. So we have all the good stuff coming from previous version, but we have all these new features coming with MOHO 12. So related to that, MOHO 12 also allows us, let me go here, I have a character created by Troy Picoul. So this is a vector character, and now in MOHO 12 I can export this character. I will export only one frame for this time. I will put it in my desktop, and I can export this as a SVG file, which is a vector and open format for vector files. So if I render this, the software automatically will create an SVG file. Let me find that. Okay, here is it. So I can open it with Firefox, and well, the idea here is I get exactly the same amount of points I created in MOHO. I can open this in Illustrator, or I can open this in Inkscape. I will try Inkscape in this case. So we can export and import Illustrator and SVG files very easily, and always keeping the same amount of points. So we finally have real compatibility between all this software. So that is another cool thing coming with MOHO 12. Well, Inkscape is taking a while to load, so maybe well, you will have to believe me, it is working very well, and the Bezier handles are working here, and we can animate that, and we can open that in Illustrator and then import it into MOHO, and that will work well. So if you like to design your characters in MOHO, you can do that, but if you like Illustrator, Inkscape, CorelDRAW, or any other software, you can use that too, and then import your characters into MOHO to animate them. So another cool feature coming with MOHO 12 is the new timeline. I want to show you some of the new characters here. Okay, so we have a new timeline. Well, now Inkscape loaded, but no, too late. So I have this scene here, okay, and you can see that in the timeline we have several new options. I will show some of them, but I think the most exciting option, if you are an old user of Anime Studio and even previous versions of MOHO, is that in the timeline you normally could see only the selected layer. So in this case, if I select Rosa, this character here, I can only see the keyframes of that character, and if I select Jose, I can only see the keyframes of that other character, but I couldn't see both at the same time. Well, now in MOHO 12 we have two options. We can select both layers, and the software automatically will show them together in the timeline, or we can use this checkbox here. So I can show both by clicking on this checkbox. So now I can see Rosa and Jose together. And maybe if I have too many channels animated here, so I can right click here and consolidate the channels of one layer, and I can do the same with the other layer. So now I have a single line for any of these layers, so I can modify the keyframes of both characters. So this allows us to see two characters or more at the same time, or maybe to see the bone layer and the vector layers inside at the same time in the timeline. So that makes it much easier to animate using several layers. You don't need to worry about having all the animation only in the bone layer. Related to that, we have a new window which is called the new selection window. So I want to show you this here. I have a mouth layer here. I can select the layers directly in the timeline also, so it is very easy to switch from one layer to another. So I have a switch layer for the mouth of this character. Okay, so I have it selected here, and we have the new switch selection window. So with the switch selection window, I will see all the content of that layer directly in the window. So if I want to create lip sync, it is very easy because I can just drag this and choose the mouth I want. For instance, I want this, and that will automatically create a keyframe. So I can simply start moving this. Well, this character now appears because it is animated. But so we have this new feature here, and that makes lip sync and other kinds of animation. It also works with frame by frame layers. So if you need to switch between different layers, this window will really help. And related to the timeline, you can see here the characters are moving, and that makes harder to create a lip sync because this character now is covering the other character. So what I can do now, I want to show you here in the timeline. I can mute channels. So for instance, if I don't want the character Rosa, which is this one, I don't want it to move, I can click here and mute the channel. So maybe I can mute all the bone channels and all the layer channels. And that means that the character won't move. In the screen you can see now it is not moving, so it is mute. So that makes much easier to work. So I can mute also the camera. Here are the different for the camera. So now I don't have camera movement, and I can mute the channels for Jose too. So, well, I am mostly muting everything. So the idea here is you can stop the animation, but without erasing it. So you can see now the characters are not moving, so I can easily create the lip sync without having to delete the animation or to having to be constantly following the character when it is moving. So that is a very cool feature too.